Okay guys, here are 10 things I noticed when I travelled to the Netherlands. It is no secret that Amsterdam is known as one of the hedonistic capitals of the world. The open-minded approach of the Dutch means that things such as prostitution and smoking marijuana is legal here. And of course this would attract a lot of tourists from countries where these sorts of things are illegal. And yeah, this sort of does make Amsterdam into a bit of a tourist trap. However, saying that, just because something is a tourist trap, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I mean, things become a tourist trap for a reason, because lots of people want to go there, you know, because they have got good things there. I mean, yeah, so even though Amsterdam, I would say it is a tourist trap, even though it's still a pretty cool place and I recommend going. I was saying that, for me, it did kind of, the fact that it was kind of a tourist trap kind of place, it did sort of ruin it a little bit for me. But honestly, it doesn't, like, you can, if you look past it, you'll have a good time. Like, you just sort of have to deal with all the typical tourist trap nonsense. Like, obviously, there could be people that are going to try and scam you. You know, it's going to be a bit tacky in some places. But, you know, you kind of just have to navigate around that and just, you know, be travel smart. You know your stuff and you'll be fine. Or, however, if you're like me and you don't really like that sort of touristy trap kind of place, if you want to go to a really more sort of laid back, not, I guess you could say laid back, but I'll recommend taking, it's about a 15-minute train ride from Amsterdam Centraal to Den Haag Centraal. And you can get the train, yes, I can't remember how much it cost. It wasn't that expensive, but yeah, for a return ticket, it wasn't too bad. Maybe about 14 euros. I mean, you know, that's how much, you know, you're going to pay for like a cab fare. So, you know, it's pretty affordable. And yeah, Den Haag, or Den Haag, as I should say, so apologise to all the Dutch viewers who are watching. Yeah, it's a really cool place. It's home of both the parliament and the royal family. So even though Amsterdam is the capital of the Netherlands, it does not host the parliament. So yeah, basically Den Haag is actually the capital, kind of, because that is where all the political bodies and the royal family and everything is. And yeah, it definitely feels more like a capital city than Amsterdam does. Amsterdam seems like the cool, fun place, and Den Haag is like the more businessy, serious place. Although saying that, I did really like Den Haag. I kind of preferred it to Amsterdam, actually. I thought it was a really nice, chill place. It just kind of like a typical European city, I guess you could say. But okay, now number 2, they have good beer. Now, in a lot of European countries, they typically have good beer. But yeah, I didn't actually know, before I went to the Netherlands, I didn't even know Heineken was Dutch. I just assumed it was from somewhere in Europe. I just thought, you know, it was German or something, because, you know, Germany is known for its beer, so I just assumed Heineken was probably German or something. But to my surprise, when I looked at things through in Amsterdam, I saw the Heineken experience, and I was like, oh, Heineken's Dutch, I didn't know. And yeah, so yeah, the Heineken, I did go to the Heineken experience. It's something I would recommend, because it's my birthday. I got a lot more free beer than I would have usually, so you know, I can take that into consideration. But yeah, if it's your birthday, I recommend going, because you're going to get a lot of free beer. And yeah, Heineken is good. You know, this is kind of like the point of this segment. The beer is good. Yeah, there's a lot of good beer. Like Heineken is the main one, obviously. Honestly, Heineken is good. I would say, like, you know, there's a stereotypical, like, oh, Guinness tastes different in Ireland, that sort of thing. I'd say the same in the Netherlands. I would say Heineken tastes different in the Netherlands. I got if you guys are Heineken experience, you get it like unedited, unfiltered, like that's the straight up Heineken. I don't know how you'd say it, like the original, I guess you could say, because, you know, in bars they might water it down, or, you know, it might lose its freshness when you export it or whatever. But yeah, straight from the Heineken experience, it was very, like, I would say that, like, the best Heineken I had was the free samples I got from the Heineken experience, just because it was straight from the factory, you know, unadulterated in any way. And obviously, you know, Heineken is known as sort of like a very generic beer that is pretty much sold everywhere. I think it's literally sold in like every country in the world, almost, anyway. But honestly, like, I was surprised by like how good it actually was, because before I went to the Netherlands, I've never had Heineken before in my life. Amstel as well is another good one, but basically Amstel is brewed by Heineken anyway, so it's kind of the same beer. But I would actually say Amstel was actually a little bit better, personally from what I drank out there. I'd say Amstel. It's not like by much, they're both very good, but I'd say Amstel was marginally better. But Heineken was very good, and yeah, even if you're sort of were like me and your preconception was, oh, well, Heineken, it's sold everywhere, it's just going to be some generic crappy beer. No, it is actually pretty good. Well, usually buying, you know, if you go to a bar, beers aren't going to be ridiculously expensive, but they're not cheap either. You're probably going to be paying around €5 to €6 a pint, and you know, which isn't like awful, but it you know, if you have a lot of them, it's not going to be cheap. So I recommend, if you're willing to just skip the luxury of going to a bar, if you go to an Albert Heijn, which is like, they're basically everywhere, which is another point I'm going to come across later in this video. But yeah, if you go to an Albert Heijn, you can get like a 6-pack of Heinekens for like €5. So that's what I did. I just had some in my room just in case I wanted to pop one open, you know. So that's what I'll recommend if you're, you know, if you don't mind. Also, going to a bar is an experience, it's a fun thing to do. But if you're willing to skip out on that luxury and you're really on a budget, then yeah, if you go to a convenience store, you can get, you know, 6-pack of Heineken for like €5. Budget tip for you budget travellers out there. Number 3, there isn't really that much distinctive Dutch cuisine. Now, when you think of the few cuisines of the world, you might think of France, Japan, Italy, India, China. But the Netherlands is not really the first thing that comes to your mind. And, you know, there's a reason for that. There isn't that much distinctive Dutch food, as I found out. I mean, the only unique things I found were like bitterballen, the raw herring, and stroopwafel. Those are the only really, again, if I butchered the pronunciation of that, please tell me. But yeah, but those are the only things I noticed that were fairly different. One distinctive thing which is unique really to the Netherlands but isn't really Dutch is there is a lot of Indonesian food in the Netherlands. Now, if you didn't know, Indonesia was a former Dutch colony. Yep, even the Dutch were in on the colonialism game. So yeah, obviously because Indonesia is a former colony, they have a lot of food influence from Indonesia. Now, the Indonesian food you find in the Netherlands isn't exactly the same. Like, they have a distinctive method of serving Indonesian food called rijstofel. Again, if I'm butchering that, please tell me. But yeah, basically it's where they bring out loads of little dishes like in a row, and it's like a big feast. Now, I didn't get to experience this because unfortunately I was travelling with people who I was travelling with other people, and if you didn't know, rijstofel, like, it isn't cheap. Like, you're looking at least like 30 to 40 euros for one person, just because it's a feast, they serve you a lot of food. And yeah, so I was travelling with a friend like who, you know, wasn't really his budget wasn't really high, so we didn't really get to experience that. If I ever did go back to the Netherlands, I probably would do it if I'm just by myself, because I personally, you know, wouldn't have mind paying that for the experience, but I had a friend who, you know, wasn't willing to. But, you know, that's up to him, you know. The good thing about travelling with others is you compromise, and that's what we did. But yeah, if you're in the Netherlands, or if you've been to the Netherlands, please tell me below if you've had rijstofel, and if it's good, if you enjoyed it, and if you recommend I do it. I'll do it next time I go, if I do go back. Now, number 4, you are constantly having to dodge cyclists. Now, obviously, you know, like Amsterdam in particular is known for its cycling culture around the world. You know, it's not really, I guess you could say it's a stereotype of the city, but it's not really a stereotype if it's true. So yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, it's known that Amsterdam is a very cycle-centric city, I guess you could say. And yeah, like, I found this out the hard way. If you're coming in from Schiphol, you're probably going to get the airport train from Schiphol to Amsterdam Centraal, and that's what we did. And as soon as I came out the station, yeah, literally, I tried to cross the street and I almost got hit by a cyclist, like, immediately. And you know, that wasn't the first or the last. That wasn't the last time that happened. Yeah, literally, you always have to be on your guard when you're walking in Amsterdam. You know, it doesn't matter where you're walking. If you're walking down any street, you've always, you know, got to keep your ears and eyes open for a cyclist coming from any direction. They come from everywhere. Like, it's literally like, if you've ever seen Star Wars, you know, in The Empire Strikes Back, when Han Solo's going through the bloody meteor belt, that's what it feels like, man. That's what it feels like. You're just constantly having to swerve and dodge. Yeah, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but for me personally, like, from walking down the streets, like, it is constant. There are, like, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, when there are always cyclists you have to dodge. Now, obviously, this doesn't really ruin the experience, but yeah, it's just something to be aware of. And also, it's not just like pedal bikes; it's also motorbikes too. So again, just be careful, and you know, if you're drunk, you know, it gets a bit harder to dodge. But somehow, magically, they always seem to dodge you. Either you get out the way or they swerve at the last second. Like, it's very, very rarely that... It's like a surprise, like, how often cyclists come at you, but you always somehow manage to not collide. Now, number 5, prostitution is a 24-hour business. Now, obviously, prostitutes are colloquially known as ladies of the night, but in Amsterdam, they're also ladies of the day. To my surprise, like, obviously, the first time I walked down the red light district was at night. So yeah, that's when everything's in full swing and like all of the, you know, the famous red windows are active. But like we had to walk through that area during the day to get somewhere. And yeah, there were still, you know, people operating during the day. It was to a much fewer extent. Like it was maybe about, it's only like 5 to 10% of brothels that are still operating. But there still are, you know, brothels still operating during the day too. Obviously, pretty much all of them operate at night because that's, you know, when all the drunken tourists are out and the people are on their stag do's and people more susceptible to do that sort of thing. But yeah, like it just shocked me to know that, or to, you know, witness that, yeah, there are still, it still goes on during the day, and like I still saw someone going in during the day as well. So, you know, they still get business during the day, so that's why they still do it. But yeah, there was also something called the Red Light Secrets Museum. Like if you want, again, that's open during all day as well. Not 24 hours, but like most of the day. So if you want to do that as well, that's open most of the day. That's same to do in the red light district during the day. I didn't go in personally myself because I just didn't really feel like, it wasn't like really, it was like 15 euros or something like that to go in, so I didn't really feel like paying that to go in. But yeah, if you want to do that, there's something to do in the red light district during the day if you're stuck on things to do. Now, number 6, this is just from my own personal experience. I don't know if this is everybody's experience, but for me, I found that there wasn't a lot of police around. The red light district at night is pretty chaotic. There's lots of people around, you know, lots of things going on during that time. You know, lots of people around. But what I noticed is there wasn't really a lot of police around. I read this before I went. Oh yeah, there's not really a lot of police around, and I thought, like, surely not. But no, when I went there wasn't really that many police around. I only really saw like police officers maybe once or twice during the whole time I was there, like in the centre of Amsterdam. Like I saw them at, like, you know, train stations and that sort of thing. But actually in Amsterdam, like the main area of Amsterdam itself, I only saw them a couple of times, and that really surprised me because, you know, obviously the red light district is known, you know, for where everything happens and where things more like to kick off, and obviously the reputation for pickpocketing, which I found actually that as long as like you're smart, like people always put, oh, watch out for pickpockets. Like you're only really gonna get pickpocketed if you're an absolute idiot. Like if you know you're wearing all your flashy stuff, showing off, you know, your iPhone X or whatever. You know, if you just dress regularly, keep your hands on your pockets, you're gonna be fine. You know, just don't be too flashy, don't show off, and don't put things in your back pockets anyway. I don't know what kind of psychopath puts things in their back pocket anyway, but yeah, just leave things in your front pockets, keep your hands in your pockets, and don't be too flash. Is that it? It's that simple. But yeah, but don't worry, like I said, even though there isn't really a lot of police around, nothing really happens. There was a guy who offered to sell me cocaine, but apart from that, nothing really crazy happens. But I guess I wasn't really there during the peak hour, especially to be like 1 to 2 a.m. or 1 to 3 a.m. I was there around 11 p.m. to midnight, so I guess it's not exactly in full swing yet, but it still was pretty busy. But again, I would say you're going to be fine as long as, you know, you're smart. Again, that's pretty difficult to be if you're like 420'd off your head or drunk off your tits. But yeah, just be smart, you'll be fine, and the little police presence isn't really a problem. And number 7, there's a lot of water around. Now, obviously, the Netherlands is a very, very flat country. Like, the whole time I was there, I didn't see a single hill or mountain or anything resembling a hill. It was just all flat. And because of that, obviously, because it's so low to sea level, there are lots of, like, rivers, canals, lakes, you know, any sort of river body you can imagine. They're everywhere. Like, again, in Amsterdam, obviously, it's famous for its canals. Even in Den Haag, there was still lots of water around. Obviously, it's on the coast. And on the train ride from Amsterdam to Den Haag, again, I saw lots of canals, rivers. I went to Zonserschans as well. Again, correct my pronunciation if I'm wrong. But again, canals, rivers. They're everywhere in the Netherlands. And yeah, if you're one of those Instagram guys like me, follow me on Instagram, shameless plug. Yeah, it's you know, if you're someone who loves taking nice travel pictures for Instagram, go to the Netherlands. There are plenty of nice rivers and canals that you can take your lovely pictures on. Again, yeah, it's really nice and scenic. So I'll recommend, you know, going to Amsterdam or to the Netherlands in general just to see all the nice canals and rivers, and you know, I took a boat tour. It was ridiculously hot, so I didn't enjoy it at all because it's like a glass boat, and I literally felt like I was roasting to death for an hour. And also, I was pretty drunk, so I wasn't really enjoying it as much as I probably would have if it wasn't so hot or if I wasn't drunk. Okay, and number 8, I said before, that it's kind of a tourist trap. And one of the unfortunate things about that is number 8, bars will hound you to get drinks. Like, as soon as you sit down somewhere, people will come over you instantly and like, oh, you're gonna get a drink. Like, for example, the Bulldog, if you know, it's like a chain of, they sell weed, and then obviously you can sit in there and smoke, because you didn't know it's actually illegal to smoke weed on the street. You know, it kind of makes sense, like, you know, in a lot of countries it's illegal to drink in public, so again, they sort of like, oh, you can't smoke in public. So usually you have to go to places like the Bulldog, or, you know, go back. Like, we were saying, obviously, in an Airbnb, so we weren't going to smoke weed in the Airbnb. That would just be a dick move. So obviously, you know, we went. Well, I didn't do it personally, but you know, I had people with me who did it. So yeah, we would go to the Bulldog, and you know, as soon as you sit down there, a waitress will come instantly to your table and ask you if you want to buy any drinks. Obviously, you know, just so they don't say directly like buy some drinks now, but it's pretty much implied by the fact they come over to you instantly and ask you if you want any drinks. So just be aware of that if you go anywhere. If I don't judge anyway. If you want to go there and smoke weed, that's fine, cool, whatever, do whatever you want. But just be aware, if you are going to go to a Bulldog or somewhere to do it, you're pretty much going to have to buy a drink as well to go along with that. So just, you know, be warned. Tough shit, but that's how tourist traps work. These sorts of places, they want to get as much cash out of you as possible. And also, if you go to a bar anyway, it's kind of common courtesy just to buy a drink, you know, to have an excuse to be there. Because, you know, even though, you know, it's kind of a place to sit down, you should really buy a drink if you're in a bar anyway, it's kind of just respectful, really. But yeah, just be aware of that. It's not just that, oh, they expect you to, like, they will come to your table and ask you to get a drink, basically. But the worst experience I had was, it was like the day before we left, on the day we left, like, we were just, like, messing around until our flight in the evening. Yeah, that's a separate story for a separate video about our flight. That was hell. But again, separate story for a separate video. But yeah, we sat down in this bar. I really needed a piss, so I just was like, okay, I'll go in here, I'll buy a drink as an excuse to use their toilets. So I buy a drink, but my friends do not. So I buy the drink, I sit on the table, and I thought, okay, like, now I've bought a drink, it gives us all an excuse to sit here. But they go to my friends, like, and they're, oh, are you gonna buy drinks? And they're like, no, and he literally just goes, get out. So my friends get kicked out. They're waiting, like, I go to the toilet, I come back, my friends are gone. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? And yeah, so I'm just sitting there alone. I have like a full pint of beer. I pretty much have to down it. If you've ever downed a beer, like, I don't know if it's just because I'm a pussy, or like when I downed it, like I didn't feel good afterwards. Like for a few like 10-15 minutes, like I felt like shit. Like, because if you consume that much liquid at once, surely it's not good for your stomach or your insides or whatever the hell the beer goes to. But yeah, it didn't feel nice having to down the beer. Yeah, I wanted to enjoy it, and if you down it, you don't really enjoy it. So yeah, I basically had to rejoin my friends outside, because I saw them like at the corner of my standing outside. I was like, oh shit, okay, they've been kicked out. So yeah, just be aware. If you go to any bar in Amsterdam, like you all have to buy a drink. That's just how it is. And you know, if you don't like that, tough. That's how it is. Okay, number 9, Albert Heijn is bloody everywhere. Everywhere you go in Amsterdam, there is an Albert Heijn on every street. There is 1,000 stores in the Netherlands, and this tells. Like literally in Amsterdam, like I don't think every street I went down had an Albert Heijn on it. Some even had like more than one, like very close to each other. Literally, like where I was staying, there's one a 5-minute walk away. They are everywhere. But the good thing is, like, they're pretty, well, they're a convenience store, so they are convenient to have around everywhere. So yeah, if you're in the Netherlands, Albert Heijn is your go-to. If you just want to pick up some, bits or whatever. Obviously, as I said earlier, that's where you can, pick up a 6-pack for like €5. But the one random thing is, like, cheese was like ridiculously expensive there. I don't know why. It was like €16 for like a regular block of cheese. I don't know if for whatever reason it was their gourmet cheese section or whatever. I don't really know, but for some random reason their cheese in there was just like insanely expensive. Everything else is pretty reasonable actually. It's not like ridiculously cheap, but yeah, it's fairly reasonable. So yeah, it's probably a good thing that there's Albert Heijns everywhere, but yeah, whoever runs Albert Heijn there must be absolutely loaded. Okay, number 10. Amsterdam is a relatively easy city to travel around. Now in Amsterdam you have the metro, trains, trams and taxis. So yeah, you have a lot of options for public transport. Also, it's a walkable city. You can walk to a lot of places pretty easily. Yeah, I actually found out the return ticket to Den Haag was actually €24, not 14. So yeah, a little bit more expensive than I said, but yeah, it's still not too bad. Like for a return ticket to a place that's like 50 minutes away, yeah, it's not terrible. Like some taxi fares, can cost you €24, but yeah, never use taxis. If you can get from one place to another using public transport, just do it. Don't look down your nose at public transport. It's a great way to get around. I even like taking public transport in a foreign country is almost like an excursion, you could say, in itself. Like it's a fun new thing to do, to take a different public transport to some different place. Yeah, especially in Amsterdam, like the metro. Honestly, the metro, or the M52 line in particular, is one of the cleanest I've seen yet. Obviously, I haven't been to places like Singapore or anywhere like that yet, so I can't say in the world, but from out of the places I've been so far, I'd probably say Amsterdam had the nicest metro. Not the most convenient or anything, just from aesthetic wise and cleanliness wise, I'd say it was the nicest. That's been my 10 things I noticed whilst travelling in the Netherlands. If you have any disagreements with what I've said, again, leave them in the comments, respectfully. Also, if you have anything you want to add that you personally experienced, which I didn't talk about, again, let me know. I'm always curious to see what you guys, what your guys' experiences were, because everyone has a different experience in different countries. Some people like some places more than others. So if you had any other interesting insights into the Netherlands when you went there, please leave it below. I have drafted. If you didn't know, I went to Dublin as well last month, and hopefully I'm gonna do a 10 things I noticed when I travelled to Ireland next. But anyway, that's been this video. See you guys in the next one.